Well, it's one of those times where it's the morning wake up. You would like to say good morning to people, but would that be honest? Would that be fair? Would that be the truth? Would that be the truth? Because in reality, we have a different truth. What we have is I have been sending documents to leaders, to various members of the Democratic Party, and even some members of the Republican Party. And parties have not actually necessarily, let's just say that certain parties who would be, required to respond have not necessarily been responding. So we have some people who are they're basically witnesses afar, watching what's going on, or apparently, or maybe watching. So we have quite a situation. We have, if we focus to California, we have Julie Su, who has participated in mass blacklisting and mass fraud on scales that are mind-boggling. Myself, as a candidate, I have been, I was blacklisted from getting monies due me that were ordered by Congress. And on top of all of this, I was forced into a conundrum, a ridiculous, massive time waster, in which the use of three phones simultaneously, could seemingly just not get through to the minions necessary to communicate with. Only on one occasion did I get through, and then these people end up reneging. The machines don't work properly, and it can't get properly processed. Now, I've had a few people that did, as far as I'm concerned, at the EDD. They tried to facilitate the best they could, but then equipment wasn't working right. And I've talked about some of that in earlier material that I put out. Now, it's important to understand the gravity of what is going on here now, today. Because we have Julie Su that was in California there. We have Shirley Weber. Shirley Weber and the Secretary of State's office has repeatedly refused to respond. In fact, the Secretary of State's office, prior to Shirley Weber, has not properly responded to many different items that needed to be responded to. There are, an array of reasons why certain things may have happened certain ways. Let's just say that most of those would be due to parties in dereliction of duty, parties who were forcibly constrained into a box by a policy that was unconstitutional, an illegally constructed policy, and some other possible reasons that may or may not have to do with parties doing things wrong with computers, whether or not they are foreign spies or domestic spies or not spies at all. Here's the thing is we haven't had an adequate investigation. So on some of these reasons, we don't know. All we know is that certain things that were supposed to happen didn't happen. In other words, it's like you walked into a room, it was dark, you go, I'll just turn on the light switch. And you turn the switch on and the lights don't turn on. Wow. Okay, wait a minute. That's not supposed to happen that way. How do we start business when the light switch won't turn on properly? This would make things difficult. So that's kind of, in a way, an analogy of what's been going on with previous items in the past. Overall, a longer stretch dealing with the Secretary of State's office in California. But if we're just looking at the Shirley Weber sequences here, Shirley Weber basically is a participant refusing to process documents that are mandatory. mandatory. One of them was a demand for action this hour. She refused to take action. She still has refused to take action to verify that there was blacklisting going on and that I was owed money. Now, the unique thing about this is all the primary evidence for the argument. There's other evidence on the argument, but the primary evidence is controlled by her office. Those are former petitions that ended up going onto the ballot. Of course, that meant signatures from voters and somebody who witnessed those signatures. That's where my signature comes into play. 100% verification of my participation as a participant in the process of elections. That's a participant. And she's refused to verify these 100% records that would show that Julie Sue is blacklisting, and beyond the shadow of the doubt, the state of California owed me money. Now, depending on which date and time you're coming into this and looking at review of what happened when, because as time went on, the money increased. So we're talking going from $30,000 to $90,000. So the concept of saying the state owes me money, I need $6,000 to get on the ballot to basically be a gubernatorial candidate. I need the ballot fee. I want it covered. You owe me money, covered. It's covered. You owe me money, it's covered. This is one of the instances, among many. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. But when your entire income is being attacked and you have caught one of the parties, you have caught them red-handed in multiple acts of crime. And beyond the shadow of a doubt, part of the evidence is right there on the office. This is the Secretary of State of California office. Again, we're talking about Shirley Weber. Now, the Secretary of State is supposed to protect the process of elections. It's supposed to be the ultimate authority end, the top end. In other words, there are no places to go beyond that. This is the structure of government. If it doesn't work, why isn't it working? Is it breaking down? So beyond that, you have one other try, and that's to go to the Attorney General's office of California, of which numerous documents have been delivered. I do believe thousands of have been delivered. Perhaps they think I've delivered those documents there for their good health. Ha, 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 make a joke. Well, actually, in truth, I could say, yeah. Actually, in many ways, those documents were delivered for their good health. Generously, I gave these people enormous leeway to act as human beings, to stand up, to act as human beings, and show rational communication. They have refused to do so. So we do not have rational communication from either the AG's office of California, nor do we have true rational communications from the Secretary of State's office. We have Julie Sue, who has done massive damage, blacklisting, discriminating, locking out a candidate, a reoccurring candidate, and a party who also, would do petitions. Yes, attacking a petitioner. So, by the way, these are serious charges. You do not attack a petitioner. You do not attack a candidate. You attack a candidate, those are major felony charges. Well, when the candidate also happens to be an archiver, now you're attacking an archiver. You have additional violations. Those are archival violations. You cause problems for an archive, and you're going to be held accountable for anything that occurs because of your actions. Now, if you run around and you falsely arrest a bunch of archivers, security officers, then the archive gets robbed and items are stolen, guess what? You're responsible for that theft. Those charges can go way, way, way deeper. So, if you're somebody that has falsely arrested the security parties, and attacked the income of an archive, and turned off the water, and a fire starts, guess where this liability goes? We're in that big no-brainer territory. So we're going to jump back here. To three main parties. We have Julie Sue, Shirley Weber, the Attorney General's office. Okay, these are the people who are responsible during COVID as it worked out for dealing with an area of income. Okay, we have additional offers. You know, the governor's office ordered shutdown. Okay, ordered stay-at-homes, etc. All of these parameters. Ordered no gatherings. Okay. Now, so into this, you can't do politicking properly. Now, this is what we got. What we have are very serious violations. These parties have not compensated for their actions. In fact, they furthered their actions, making everything worse and worse and worse. Now, into this, there is another clear item to mention, and the other clear items to mention are the wrongdoingness on the whole of employees and officials of the state of California has a previous history. Their previous history has been verified by the state of Arkansas. That in fact erroneous citations, which are harassment, involving a candidate occurred. Well, you cannot attack a candidate, okay? You cannot be in dereliction of duty over certain items. At a certain point in time, it becomes a no-brainer where you just have to put your foot down and say, you know, the definition has changed. We now have acts of war being committed against a candidate, and these have not been addressed. We have the entire Democratic Party. I'm sorry, it's not the entire Democratic Party. There are a lot of Democrats who have refused. There are Democrats who have sided with me. There are a lot of Democrats that are claiming other fouls. But we have a significant number of the Democratic Party which has proceeded forward ignoring the Constitution of the United States, which clearly states that we have articles. So when you read, let's just get down to the brass tacks here. When you read the Constitution, you read the articles, we have violations here. We have musters, which are supporters, which have attacked a candidate. These musters and supporters support a different candidate. That candidate is disqualified by the Articles of the United States because their participants have committed acts of war. And in fact, the main chosen party, Ms. Kamala Harris, formerly was of the IG's office, and she also is in dereliction of duty. She also was a direct party determined to be a party attacking a candidate. She cannot directly or indirectly have her office be in dereliction of duty attacking a candidate. Those matters have not been resolved. Those matters were reviewed and verified by the state of Arkansas. We cannot, under any circumstances, certify or recognize Kamala Harris as a candidate. She is an illegal participant in the process of elections, and by order of the Constitution and Articles of the United States, she is disqualified. I am demanding her immediate arrest. I am demanding Julie Sue's immediate arrest. I am demanding Shirley Weber's immediate arrest. I refuse to withdraw as a presidential candidate. I still identify myself as a Democratic candidate, and since all of my activity predates all these other people's stuff, and we are in an ongoing situation that has been evolving with many parties involved in serious attacks, serious violence, and I have been relaying thousands of images for a year and a half on X, and I am not getting a response. These parties are not responding properly. Mr. Al Franken, sir, you're making a fool out of yourself. I have addressed you repeatedly. Will you please look at the material and act like a human being? Because you need to withdraw your vote, your participation, and your endorsement for Kamala Harris because of the conduct that's involved around all these people, Mr. Al Franken. So, Mr. Al Franken, you are a former member of the House. So I ask you, do not participate in indecency respective to certain parties' conduct. Sir, Mr. Al Franken, I am publicly challenging you, Mr. Al Franken. We have some major ethics on the table here, Mr. Al Franken. So, Mr. Al Franken, if you would please examine the material that I have sent you. We're going to take a quick leaf blower disturbance break because why? Well, everybody's got to do their job. We'll be back. So it's turning out to be a beautiful day, actually. Now, the interesting thing here is that basically it's time to talk about the future. It's time to talk about now. It's time to talk about success. It's time to talk about delegates and voters of Arkansas. Because you've been lied to. These are the basic facts. I don't need to run through them starting out again. Shirley Weber, Julie Sue, Kamala Harris. These people have been repeatedly involved in various activity attacking my long-term campaign efforts. And their current attacks are horrible. These are acts of war on a candidate. Now, there's 18 mobile broadcast RV vehicles that have been lost because of these acts of war. So delegates of Arkansas, you have every right, because you've been lied to, information has been withheld from you. You have every right to withdraw your support from Harris. You have every right to participate and say, hey, why do we have people who are basically maniacs destroying artifacts older than the Constitution of the United States in the course of their acts of war and various actions for their personal memeism? Let's talk about what's in that archive, some of the stuff in that archive. Water, let's talk about water. Arkansas has more water than it knows what to do with, and we know this. We know this. Sometimes, well, people drown, people die because of water situations. Now, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do about tornadoes, but when it comes to water, we can manage water better. And you have to realize this. I want every Arkansan, not just you delegates, I want every Arkansan to realize they are rich. You are rich. And you have people that are trying somehow to not allow you to realize this. Because there's so much water, it can be sold at a high profit. We're talking about the starting design of the project is going to pay every Arkansan, every head of household, $12,000 a year just for the water. Now, the power options that end up coming out of that, that's a bit of a different story. You have to work that out some more. Some of the little areas are different. There's variances. Some of them can be $900 a month. $900 a month. So you'd be doing well. You deduct whatever you use from that, and that's what would be coming to you as your dividend. You know, this is about capitalism. Capitalism, capitalism, capitalism. You know, this is about you and your neighbors get together and pull together and say, we are now partners. We are partners in an endeavor to better our future. We'll see this. We will see this ourselves. This will go into our pockets. This project can be done in 10 years. In 10 years, we can do this. Now, our children, the children will see this. This fixes the rest of their life. The rest of their life. And grandchildren, they're going to live a whole, completely different life. We're talking about making the single biggest step forward away from poverty for people that are in poverty that has ever occurred in the state of Arkansas. We have a nation full of water, and the plan is a little larger than Arkansas. Yes, it is. In fact, I see people following suit on this all the way up into Canada. But you're rich. You're rich. Look at that river. It's full of life. You're rich. Arkansas now, today, is more powerful than it's ever been if you simply stand up with me and demand the truth and move forward with the truth. This water project is the way to go. The desert needs water, and desert will pay. This project is so big that we're going to be able, by the time this project ends up being done, other states are going to get involved. Canada's going to get involved. We are going to help recontrol the water situation. We're going to save people's lives. Yes, it's a large project, but it's going to make a lot of jobs. This project proposal will have every pipe company in the entire country at max production. Lots of companies will be at max production. We're talking high-paying jobs. We're talking about taking deserts and turn them back into forests. You want to talk about green? Let's talk about green. Let's talk about green. This project will give the capability to be able to have enough water to plant more trees than people are cutting down in the entire world. The entire world. That's about as green as you can think green, right? Right? You know, that's going to take your carbon problem and take a big, huge bite out of it. And we can do this. This is one of the few places in the world, right here in America, in Arkansas, where we can do this. We can begin moving forward with a mass water project that makes all the right sense. So I'll say again, delegates in Arkansas, this is important. Join with me, stand with me. This is the future. It's your children's future, definitely your grandchildren's future. This is it. Mass water project. The Ark Up Water Project. We are going to up all of Arkansas. Ark up, Ark up. We are going to up all of Arkansas. Your incomes are all going to go up. 12 grand a year. This is permanent stock. Permanent residuals. This is capitalism. Join together, be part of it. Because I'm telling you, I refuse to allow these people to do this massive damage to an archive. Archives are protected by the Constitution of the United States. Stand with me. Join with me. Help protect the Constitution and your future. Because despicable behavior causing the destruction of an archive, there's no excuse for that. Those are major penalties. We're talking really big penalties. Stand with me. Let's move our lives forward financially. I'm going to talk about education soon. I want to thank you for your time. Michael Crosby, I'm running for POTUS.